Hey Internet, this is Gunter with MiniMishaps, and today we are going to talk about all different kinds of bases for your miniatures. Alright, so I wanted to talk about bases today because we've been on a 3D printing kick, and we're always on a miniatures kick just in general, and a lot of times the bases get kind of left out. So we're going to take a look at a bunch of different kinds of bases and give you some tips for how to use them best with different adhesives and different kinds of miniatures. So let's jump right in. So the first thing I've done here is I've picked out several different kinds of bases that you might use for a 1-inch or 28 millimeter, 32 millimeter D&D, Warhammer, Frostgrave, that genre of miniature. And so we'll just go through each one of these one at a time. So the first one here is a standard base from a Frostgrave miniature. And you can see it's still got the little bits from the sprue there that haven't been cleaned up yet. But part of that is because this plastic is extremely hard, and if you're today we're going to be using all thermoset plastic. If you're using thermoset plastic with this kind of dense base, you're going to want to make sure that you have a flat plane, either shoe sole or a smaller, just surrounding the feet base. But single point against this kind of hard plastic, it's probably just going to let go of that connection and break. Because this dense of a plastic has no porous quality to allow the liquid plastic to kind of get down into the parts of the plastic. So you'll want a flat surface because then you'll also have that kind of glue between two surfaces rather than single points. Or use a super glue that actually melts or deteriorates the plastic, because that'll soften up the base. And I think that's what they generally recommend for most of those war game bases that come in sprues, is that you use some sort of super glue that actually melts the plastic a little bit. Alright, next up we have got a jewel from probably Hobby Lobby, and the trick with this one is you actually do better with soft plastic or rubber miniatures that have a little bit of bend, because when you add the adhesive, the legs or whatever can bend outwards and kind of create a little bit of compression in for the plastic to all be sort of pulled towards the same direction. If you get it off to the side or whatever, then it's likely to just sort of shirk it off and let go of the connection again. So this is also sheer, so you want to, so you may not have much luck with the thermoset plastic that we're going to be using, the liquid plastic, because it will also just pull away from that sheer surface, just like it did the first one on the hard plastic there. So the third one here I really like, because these are bases that are designed to come with poppers, which is the next thing we'll talk about. But in my world, with liquid plastic, pouring into a pool that has a lip like this allows you a lot of flexibility. So you can have a miniature, if it prints off balance, or the 3D print is designed to be already standing up against a rock or a log or something, you can put 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and have it sort of climbing up the base or out of the base to balance it, to put its center back on the center there. Likewise, if it's a miniature like a Bones miniature that has small platforms under the feet that it's not really a base and doesn't really help it balance, you can put the whole sets of platforms inside of this lip and then pour the liquid plastic on top so that it covers those lips under the feet, those platforms, and that will definitely cement the miniature in place. All right, next up, this is like I said before, a topper, and it's designed to go inside of the black ring to the left. But by itself, and I really like using these by themselves, the thing that you want to watch out for that's going to be a hiccup for us using liquid plastic is that if you use liquid plastic with a base that has all this detailing, the plastic's going to fill in and around all of those details. So that will be good for adhesion. It'll be really good for gripping the base. But if you want to not lose those details, then you want to switch back to something clear, like again either a clear epoxy or the super glue that will it might melt the detail at the point where the foot or whatever is connecting to it, but you'll keep the detail at most of the rest of the miniature. So toppers are a little bit tricky that way, simply because no matter where you either use liquid plastic or super glue, the adhesive is going to fill in some of the detail or melt away some of the detail. Alright, we're on to this little blue plastic poker chip, and so this is just out of a toy travel set of poker chips. And the thing you want to be careful with about sections from toys like this is that a lot of times they have different melting points and things than the regular miniatures and bases and things. So you want to watch your adhesives, because something with the wrong kind of plastic can really just sort of eat it away or melt it away really fast. The thing I do like about this is it's not exactly a strong lip like the black one that had the whole pool you could pour the plastic into, but it does have the part that has a million little things to start wicking away at plastic, which will make it even and easier to pour into that circle, because it'll start pulling it into the subsequent neighboring channels rather than pouring off whatever the least level direction of the table is. So that actually is a helpful thing here in this case, if you're worried about the plastic getting off onto the tray or the table. Which obviously, if you're doing any kind of adhesives or plastics or pouring, make sure that you've set up your space so that you don't end up gluing a miniature down to a nice surface or anything like that. So, alright, now this next up is actually a base that was mold casted out of the same plastic that we are going to be pouring on the miniatures today. So this is actually really good because as it hardens, it will become one solid piece. The only thing to watch out for is the opposite of the poker chip, which is before it sets, it's just going to run off. It's just going to kind of sort of slide off of that surface until it can kind of connect as the same material. Alright, we have got this next one is a 1-inch wood round from a craft store, probably Hobby Lobby again, but you can get them anywhere. And the thing about working with wood is if it's not sealed in some kind of plastic varnish or sealant, then it is going to wick the different parts of the liquid plastic out from one another, so that it doesn't actually have the ability to set up the same way. So you want to actually overcome that by pouring extra. This will have a surface tension kind of an idea, where you want to put sort of a blob that goes to the edge but doesn't go over. Because the more plastic you can put, the less ratio problems you'll have where it's pulling out. I don't know if it's the activator or the actual resin that it pulls out, but it does sort of like pull the oily half of the plastic into itself and wicks that away. So if you have just like dunked the miniature's feet in plastic and then put it on there, a lot of times you'll get almost no adhesion, and you'll end up just sort of with slimy miniature feet because it's wicked away half of the mixture, and now the plastic can't set up properly. So the more plastic the better, because it'll disperse that unevenness. So, or if you're doing a lot of them at once, just alter your ratio a little bit of that, and to account for the amount that's going to be wicked into the wood. But that's a lot of extra steps and work if you're not only working with wood bases all of the time. So I like using the wood base on certain special projects. And last up, we have got a standard base from the WizKids Unpainted Miniatures line. And this one is also a nice, it's doubly nice because on the side where it lists the company's logo and name and copyright information, it also has a lip facing, It also has a lip facing in the same direction. So now you have the gripability of the poker chip channels or the topper details in the middle with the lettering, while simultaneously having the surface tension lip of the other black base. So these are expensive if you're just buying miniatures for the bases, but if you have them laying around, and a lot of times if you're getting a miniature and putting another different base on it, you'll end up with some of these. These are really nice for they're not real deep, so you won't lose your creature's feet or legs down inside of them. But they will hold on to that plastic pretty readily, and that's a nice thing. So, all right, we have got our bases, we have got our textures. You've heard more than you ever needed or wanted to hear about plastics and maybe the chemistry. But let's quick put a couple of miniatures on these bases with the thermoset plastic, and then we'll check out each one and discuss a little bit here. So I'll be right back. Thank you so much for watching my video, and if you like what you saw, go ahead and subscribe, and you can support us on Patreon or buy me a coffee, and we will see you for the next video. Thanks, Internet.